Hi, this is Nancy Groney. You're about to see the opening session of Parapsychology Research and Education, also known as ParaMOOC 2023. The topic this year is Apparitions, Hauntings, and Poltergeists. You are looking at the organizing team. I'm Nancy Groney from the Azire, Brian Williams from Psychical Research Foundation, and Natasha Chisdes from Chisfilm. We have support this year and every year from Parapsychology Foundation, authorized by Lizette Coley, the president of the PF. This is a slide of all our speakers. The course starts February 28th and goes to April 1st, and you can register at any point. All the information that you need is in the description below, and in the opening session, you will hear about these talks and see what's coming up. So let's get to it. Cool. Now, I want to welcome you to the resurrection of parapsychology research and education. As you know, our last one was in 2020, and you've seen the video, so you know why there was a hiatus in between. We are doing it in March, not that today's March, but March is tomorrow, because we want to go forward honoring Carlos's contributions to our lives and to the field by having it in his birth month. So from now on, as long as I'm involved anyway, we'll be having the ParaMOOCs in March of every year, I hope. And you see in front of you this wonderful collage that Brian put together, showing all of our speakers for this course. And we're going to talk about how the structure was put together and give you the information of what everybody had to say. I did not get Lloyd Auerbach's title up there, but Brian will fill it in for us when we get there. I want to say thank you to Brian Williams, obviously, for all that he's doing for this project and his taking over of the curriculum and revamping the philosophy of the course. And I want to say thank you to Natasha, who's been working in the background and will be the queen of the chat over there. So if I'm not seeing what I should be seeing in the chat box for Q&A, she'll be the one that'll let me know. And then, of course, I want to thank very much Lizette Coley and Anna Damalis of the Parapsychology Foundation for continuing to support our project. And I want to apologize also for this mess back here. You are going to see over the next 6 weeks the changing of Carlos's desk into something a little less disorganized. I'm still working on his 3,000 item library, getting it off the floor and doing some cataloging and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a joy. I cannot tell you what it feels like to take a pile of books or a pile of journals off the pile, you know, a bunch of them off the pile, and realizing this journal was published 100 years ago. This book is a book about a guy from the 19th century that I'm crazy about. I didn't even know we had that book. It's just been a joy going through everything. He, of course, knew what was there, but my memory doesn't work quite like that. So we just, I would just say, I'm working on this, and he'd bring me a pile of stuff so that I was all set. This is for those of you who have been in the course before, this is our course logo. It was put together by Radiant Skies, who licensed it to 123rf.com, and then we got a perpetual license to use it on anything. What I loved about this was she had virtually every phenomena there is. She had a wordle for it, and this was just my favorite. So we've been using this since 2015 when we first started the ParaMOOC. So what we're going to talk about today is, I've done the welcome, and then we'll be talking about the philosophy of the ParaMOOC, first about how Carlos wanted to put it together, and then we'll get Brian in here to say something about how he approached the job. And let me click again, the content and structure of the course. So you see all of the speakers and their titles. And then navigating and finding what you need on the Parapsychology Online website. I'm just in the process. I took all the old pages from a long time ago off, and I've been putting things up for the course. So I have some pictures of some of the things that I've added, and I'll let you know what I'm going to be adding. And everybody who has registered, whether or not they've taken the questionnaire, will get either later today or tomorrow link to the private page that has the complete information about the Zoom link. And we'll be talking about the foundation and about the Azire and about the Don't Gasp discussion forums every Sunday in Second Life. And then there'll be a Q&A, of course. So on this slide, I love what Brian did. This particular illustration at the background, I think, is just marvelous. Everything he did was very artistic. But I wanted to use this photograph instead of the one that he was using, mainly because I took this picture when we were first in our office in the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia. And Carlos and I always had a lot of good offices wherever we were. Some were teeny tiny, some were long and skinny, Lisa? And some were quite large and wonderful. One of Carlos's favorites was his desk was in the journal room at the Parapsychology Foundation when we were on site in New York City. He really loved that. But our absolute favorite was the office that he and I and Natasha shared at the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia. And I think it was not only a brand new kind of remodeled area, so it was very comfortable. But I think also it had to do with the fact that the three of us were using that office together. So following the lead of Carlos Alvarado, because he was always the curriculum director for everything that we did, he was always the person who set up the schedule, did the recruiting, had ideas for alternates if people weren't able to join us. And I did all the practical stuff, right? You probably remember if you were a speaker, I was the one that would make you come into his IQ alone with me and figure out how to use the situation. His philosophy was that we would make have presentations by international researchers and scholars with academic or scientific training, but we also wanted to have people around who had a track record of serious research, whether or not they had any educational credentials, because there's some really amazing people out there with expertise that don't always get invited to these kinds of things. We always wanted to offer a variety of perspectives on whatever phenomena or whatever topic that we put together for that particular iteration of the ParaMOOC. We also wanted to make the knowledge in the field more accessible to general audiences. So we did talk to some of our more introverted scientists and academics about how to make their talk more engaging, and some of them were just genius when it came to the questions and answers, and it was really fun to see people get very excited about how other people were handling their information. And we would frequently say, we get the most wonderful people who are attendees. They're knowledgeable and they're fascinated and they're fascinating. I think there was some skepticism in some of the folks' minds when we told them that, and then we would have these great Q&A sessions. Bernard Carr, I think, is the best example of that. He set it up to do 90 minutes, an hour talk and 30 minutes of Q&A, and the people who were in that, some of you may remember, I think maybe Randy and Jim Clausen were there, but people were asking him so many questions kind of in between that he elongated his session in terms of making a longer kind of presentation and getting into conversation while he was presenting. And then the question and answer was like 45 minutes. So we ended up with about 2.5 hours with him. And it was 9 p.m. in London when he started speaking. So we were really grateful to him, and he had a wonderful time. I think I got multiple emails afterwards about how much he enjoyed it. So the other thing was to highlight the important work of less recognized individuals and groups as well. We weren't looking for the top people all the time. We were looking for the people who we thought were doing really interesting work, whether they were academics or not. So the structure and content of the course we're going to get to in a second. Brian, are you willing to turn on your audio and your video and give us an idea of how you worked on the curriculum this year?
Sure.
Shall I go back to the previous slide, do you think? Or am I okay here?
Yeah, you might do that.
Okay. You're on, Brian.
Okay, let's start my video here.
There you go.
Howdy, ma'am.
You have a hat with the logo on it. How did you do that?
I do.
I love that.
Here, man, take a look here.
Merch. Oh, look at how, oh my gosh, that's marvelous. Can you read us what it says on there? I think I can see it sort of, but it's kind of tiny. What does it say?
It says experience and evidence.
Ah.
Honor both, but know the difference.
Oh, I love that.
And this actually came from your Parapsychology Online Cafe Press store.
Really?
That's where I got it.
I haven't been there in so long. I have to go back and take a look. Yeah, we'll get you the link, Morgan, no problem.
I have that link. But the buttons are optional. I got them separately.
Okay.
This hat and anything else that that is related to Parapsychology Online, you can actually get on that store. Let's see.
That just shows you how long ago it was that I actually looked at that store. I was going to do that this morning, but I totally forgot. Oh. Well, how did you approach the curriculum?
Well, it was very similar to what's listed here. I followed these same ideas that Carlos had, and I thought this was very important, especially when it came to getting the knowledge out there and also bringing some highlight to some others in the field who are not really as known. There have been a lot of people in the field who generally are kind of more in the spotlight, but there are also other people in the field too, as well, who are doing really good work, but who don't really seem to receive as much recognition. And so that was what I was kind of going for in this one, because I think it's really important to bring this kind of work that they're doing to a much broader attention, especially on the international scale. For Carlos, that would seem to be very important too. He recognized that there were quite a number of other researchers in other countries who were also doing important work, which also wasn't receiving much attention as well. And that was usually due to a language barrier. Sometimes the work that they were doing was published, but it was not published in English. It was published in other languages, such as Japanese or Spanish or just any other type of foreign language other than English that you can think of. And so in that way, it wasn't really reaching out to the wider parapsychological community. So, and that also came in some ways to his work as well. When he came from Puerto Rico, there was a lot of work that he did that, and also from other researchers that he knew from Puerto Rico that who did work too, but was not published in English. So he wanted to bring attention to that. And the ParaMOOC offered a way to do that. So in a lot of the other ParaMOOCs that we've held in the past, he also highlighted a lot of international researchers, and I wanted to continue that tradition. So I invited several international researchers on who have done work on this topic, and several of them accepted. So I was kind of keeping in line with that tradition that Carlos had started, which I think is very important.
That was definitely one of his most important, was to make sure that we were not living in an Anglo-American English-speaking condition all the time, that there was always a focus in his written work and his research on everybody that he could read, because he had a lot of languages. He was fluent in English and Spanish and read Portuguese, French, and Italian. but then he was still also conscious of, people elsewhere, which is why Sonali Marwa was asked to come and talk. And, he just tried to really get as many people as he possibly could get from around the world. And Lisette can attest to that one of our favorite workshops that we ever did for Parapsychology Foundation was on forgotten phenomena that the core of experimental psychology, scientific psychology was like, oh my God, don't talk about that. So we made sure we had an entire workshop full of all of that stuff, because the topics that are forgotten can be incredibly important for understanding what's going on and what human nature really is, as well as wanting to have as many different voices as possible. So I can see that in what you were doing, and I think it's wonderful. It does mean that we have some really early in the morning and some late in the evening presentation. If you're able, it's going to be wonderful, and if you can't, don't worry, because there'll be a recording, so that'll be helpful. Is there anything else you want to say about how you put this together?
That pretty much sums it up. I used just very simple rules that Carlos had established initially, and I wanted to keep, as I said, that tradition going. I think it's very important to do that. So.
Well, I'm really grateful that Brian was a member of our team from the beginning, and Natasha was too. And I was just really excited when we kind of got the band back together that I wouldn't be alone in this, and also that these guys really understood him and loved him, and it was a mutual admiration society between the three of them. So I'm very grateful about that. So what we've got is an opening and closing session. The closing session is actually combined with the final discussion forum on the 1st of April. We are going to have another discussion forum just by itself on the 18th of March. So there'll be two Zoom open discussions, and we'll just have everybody there talking about whatever they want to talk about. In the closing session, we are going to be asking for recommendations for what we should do next year, what you would like to see us put together. There are going to be discussion forums in Second Life, and don't worry if nobody comes to visit me except for Brian. We'll just keep working on the library. As always, I have moved my library from where it was, and I'm now redoing it in terms of putting in more materials and having a colleague of mine put in some comfy chairs and all that stuff. So that will be an element of the course as well. And then there'll be a list of online supplemental materials that you'll have available to you on the pages of the current ParaMOOC course section of parapsychologyonline.org. And I will also put those links up on the various on the ParaMOOC Facebook group, of course, but around elsewhere as well. And then we'll have links to videos on Parapsychology Foundation's YouTube channel. Actually, I'm thinking about curating a couple of lists by topic. And because Anna and Lisette have so much material on that channel. If you don't subscribe to anybody on YouTube, definitely subscribe to Parapsychology Foundation, because it's really astonishing. We'll also have the Parapsychology Online website, and you'll see that at the end. I've already started a recommendation page of websites and YouTube channels. So we're getting there in terms of getting you the information that you need to have. And on every page where I've got one of these lists of materials and recommendations, I'm asking you on every one of those to let me know if you know of something that I'm missing, because I think that's really important, how we can all contribute to the experience we have over the next month. So we're just going to go through the list of folks that are giving their talks. The first one on March 1st is Fatima Machado. The schedule is on the website, so you should take a look and get a handle on that. The Zoom link that we use today is going to be the Zoom link that we always use. And when I get done with this today, or maybe tomorrow morning, I will make sure that every one of you has the private page link for that Zoom link. So you'll always be able to come in, and you can always write a note to parapsychologyonline@gmail.com, because Brian and Natasha and I all get forwarding from that email. So Fatima Machada is an extraordinary person. I didn't pull up her biography, but I can say that she's got a PhD in psychology and a PhD in communications. She's one of the organizers and directors of the Inter-Sea Laboratory of Psychosocial Studies at the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil, in the Institute of Psychology. And if you've been around the field for a really long time, you know that Inter-Sea has been all kinds of things from the very beginning, depending on which university they're at and what their interest is at that moment. So this is, I also have a link to the Inter-Sea USP video YouTube channel. Most of it is in Portuguese, but here and there, there's some English stuff. And it's really wonderful. She's going to be talking about poltergeist in Brazil, case studies, theoretical approaches, and their implications. I think that's a great start to the course. The next presentation that we'll have is on Friday, March 3rd, and that's Gerhard Meyer of the Institute for Frontier Areas of Psychology and Mental Health in Freiburg. That's the IGPP. He's the guy behind the Women in Parapsychology issue of the Journal of Anomalistics journal that came out in December of last year. I was part of that group, and Cedar Leverett was the other person. We were both guest editors on that issue, and it was honoring the more than 30 years that have passed since the Lisa Coley and her team had together a groundbreaking, we thought anyway, groundbreaking conference on women in parapsychology that took place in Dublin in 1991. So Gerhard is very well known for single case studies. He has a book called N-1 that is single case studies using the example of 2 case investigations, and he's a wonderful presenter, so I think you're going to enjoy that. The next one is from Jerry Solfin, who's been in the field forever and ever. The very first Rhine Research Center's summer study program I was a participant in as both a junior researcher and a student was in the early 1980s. He's been doing spontaneous casework since the 70s. He's now at the Center for Index Studies at the University of Massachusetts in Dartmouth. And his, I still have not, maybe Brian can let us know what ECHO means, but.
Yes, it's an acronym that Jerry has coined, which stands for anomalous, episodic, communal, kinetic occurrences. And
wow, cool.
Each of those represents a specific characteristic that that one type of case he's particularly looking for among all those reported within the poltergeist RSPK type. He's looking for a specific subset of case that has these characteristics, and the acronym reflects those features or characteristics that the case should have, and he'll elaborate on that. But it's it's an approach to find a particular type of case on which we can do further study.
On March 8th, we've got methodology of a case study on a poltergeist incident by Hideyuki Kokubo, who's at the Institute for Informatics of Consciousness in the School of Information and Communication at Meiji University in Tokyo. He was the representative of Japan for an international affiliates conference that we did online some years back, and he's a very interesting speaker, and I'm sure the slides are going to be terrific. We have Beth Darlington from Access Paranormal in Kent in the United Kingdom, and she is talking about PAEs, possible alternate explanations when investigating paranormal phenomena. I was looking at her abstract, and I think you're going to find that very interesting. I'll be putting up a page of biographies and a page of abstracts in the ParaMOOC current course section of the Parapsychology Online website later today. The next one is March 12th, Sunday, March 12th, and it's a dual presentation from Christopher Larson, who was in one of our previous ParaMOOC iterations, who's at the University of Guelph in Ontario. Susan Demeter from Paranormal Studies and Intuition in Italy, and they will be talking about making sense of ourselves in studies of ghostly phenomena. Timothy Hart, who is a landsman, basically. I'm now back in my hometown in the northern part of Illinois, and he's sort of mid-range, almost to the southern edge. He will be talking about MESA, the multi-energy sensory array. He's a guy that's has been working in field investigations and has always been very technologically savvy. So this has been a project of his for quite a long time. The next one is going to be another twofer. We have Terry Olson and Rob Tilley of the Australian Institute for Parapsychological Research and Parapsychology Australia. They'll be talking about apparitions and ghost experiences and introduction. This is going to be a two-part presentation, so we've given them 3 hours in the evening. They'll be in the frame at the same time, so it may not go that long, but just in case they need that much, that's how we scheduled it. And again, you can take a look in the schedule in the course area of the website to see what time exactly. It's an evening presentation. I also put the YouTube channel of the Australian Institute for Parapsychological Research on the recommendations as well. They have some really interesting previous presentations from their group. Lloyd Auerbach from Atlantic University in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and all over the place, basically. Brian, you want to turn that mic on again, because I didn't get around to getting the title of his presentation into the slide.
Yes, his presentation is titled Apparitions, Consciousness Beyond Death.
Oh, cool. So that'll be Friday, March 17th, and I'm really looking forward to that. He's also been in the field for many years. The next one is from Allison Jornlin from American Ghost Walks in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So she's like an hour and a half from me now, and I think that's wonderful. On the 19th of March, which is a Sunday, she'll be giving the talk, The Hidden Ghost Hunter, Remembering Catherine Crowe. She's done an enormous amount of work on Catherine Crowe, and her website, Parapsychology Women, I think, or Paranormal Women. It's in the recommendations, and my apologies, Allison. That is one of the YouTube channels that I've given to you to go and take a look at. On March 20th, which is a Monday, we'll have Pamela Ray Heath from Alameda in California. She's a physician and a parapsychologist. She will be talking about how mind-matter interaction may play a role in creating place memory, which is an interesting idea, and will be echoed by Brian in another presentation. Beth Hedva from the Canadian Institute for Transpersonal and Integrative Sciences in Calgary in Alberta in Canada will be speaking on March 24th on the Friday, and it's called Doing Something About It, Clinical Parapsychology. It's a very important topic. We are very lucky to have Rosemary Pilkington, who lives out on Staten Island and is a long time student of Gilbert Roller and the Bindeloff case, has written a book about it, and was a frequent visitor at the Parapsychology Foundation in New York. She will be talking on Saturday, March 25th, and she's registered for the course, so you may see her in the course in other presentations. Ann Winsper is on Tuesday, March 28th. She's from Parascience in Cheshire in the United Kingdom. Creating the Dead, How Do Auditory Perception, Paranormal Belief, and Individual Differences Affect the Interpretation of Alleged Electronic Voice Phenomena. I think this is going to be very interesting. She's a very dedicated person, and she has a wonderfully balanced kind of way of looking at the field. And Brian, of course, our New Mexican over here, on March 21st, the first day of spring, actually, on Tuesday, he will be giving a talk called Making a Case for Considering Place Memory. And on the 30th, he will give the last substantive lecture of the course, which at the moment is called Seeking Spectral Insight. Is there a new title, or are we still, I like that one actually. I think we can sit with that one. Okay, so we'll move on to the next. This is more. I don't mind if you say, "Oh my God, I can figure this out myself," and go have lunch or dinner or whatever. But we're going to just go through the info here, and we're going to talk about Parapsychology Online, the website, Parapsychology Foundation's website, Parapsychology Foundation's YouTube channel, which is a gem, and Parapsychology Online YouTube channel, which is, I'm working on it. And Parapsychology Foundation Zazzle shop. Now I've got to get the link for the my long lost shop, and the Azire website. So this is the homepage of the Parapsychology Foundation Inc. And I suggest that you come over here and take a look at absolutely everything that's on that website. The Journal of Anomalous Experience is sponsored by the Parapsychology Foundation. It's Etzel Cardena's online open access journal, which is really, really excellent. I haven't actually watched the Garrett Library at the University of Maryland in Baltimore County as yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing it. And the PF blog has all of the schedule and information for the course as well, and a very nice preamble to what we're going to be talking about that Brian wrote for that blog. So I recommend that a lot. You must bookmark the Parapsychology Foundation. What we have here is the Parapsychology Foundation Facebook page, and Anna, forgive me, I went in there and moved the image over a little bit. I didn't get it quite where it needed to be, but at least it's got Parapsychology Foundation. There's a lot of wonderful information that you'll see there about the course and just about the field, and lovely conversations and so on. The Parapsychology Foundation has more than one Facebook page, and I suggest that you check those out as well, but I just wanted to do 4 things here. This is the ParaMOOC group that's on Facebook. It's a public group now, so you can go and join it anytime you want. We have a few questions, I think, that we ask, and the administrators will let you in. And then Parapsychology Foundation's YouTube channel is also something I suggest that you subscribe to, because of the depth of the videos and the breadth of it too. Lots of times you'll get people that will carp about the quality of the film, but you've got to realize that these films go way back, and they're working really hard to get all of the filming that they've done across the history of the United States of Parapsychological Foundation, which is my age. It was founded in December of 1951. So they're working on expanding it even more, and it's just fantastic. It's got everything you need to see. It's really wonderful. And then this is my little guy. I haven't done much until recently on Parapsychology Online, but I have some ideas. I've been inspired by Alison Jornlin and her YouTube channel, and by the course, and we'll see what happens to Parapsychology Online. You can subscribe to that too. I wouldn't say no. So here we have another one of the PF's websites, and this one is SciMart, and you can go in there and buy some of the books and the monographs and so on from the Parapsychology Foundation. So that's a way to directly contribute to the Parapsychology Foundation, which is a good idea. There's also a donate button on the front page of the Parapsychology Foundation main website as well. This is the Zazzle shop that they have, and it's also really wonderful. You can get logos and all kinds of things printed on just about anything, and I have 2 of those. I think I have 1 of each, and then another one of the anniversary one that I use every day. I've got a lot of mugs. The Parapsychology Online website is what it looks like at the top. And this one, you can barely see down here, says current ParaMOOC course, and that's the drop-down menu that's got all the information that I'm putting up or have already put up about the field. The Alvarado Zingrodi Institute for Research and Education was a project of Carlos's Alvarado Zingrodi and Associates Consulting. group. I'm just me now, so it's just a project that I have, and I wanted to move it from the welcome to Carlos's biography, because not only is it a wonderful biography, but when you get down to the bottom of it, there are links out to all of the memorials and obituaries and just comments about Carlos and his life. The ones that I think blew me away completely were the ones in Edsel Cardena's Journal of Anomalous Experience, and they were featured in the very first issue of the very first volume of that new journal. So I recommend those as well. And you can get the link on the Parapsychology Foundation website. So this is I just wanted to talk about some of the pages that are here. This is the beginning of the recommended sites and social media links, and I have to edit that, obviously. And right now I only have websites and YouTube channels, and I've got quite a lot of them. And if you go through that page, which you can get on the down button for the submenu of current ParaMOOC course, you can take a look at it, and if I'm missing anything, email me at parapsychologyonline@gmail.com and I will get it up there. But I think that's going to be a good use. I'm going to definitely kind of nudge all of the speakers to see what kinds of things that they would like me to put up there. We will also have a downloading page that I have not finished and not put up there, that will have my PowerPoint from today. And I'm hoping to get articles and other kinds of things from the speakers that I can put on that download page. This one is not live as yet. It's just the beginning. And as always, I'm going to be asking you guys if there are things that you think that are available out there without being behind a paywall. If there's anything that you're interested in having on that list for your colleagues in the course, then by all means, get in touch. So now you can open up your mics and open up your videos if you would like to. I'm going to take my PowerPoint off the screen, and any kind of questions or anything that you would like to comment on. We've got some time. We haven't even hit 1 o'clock, so I think we're doing really good here. I think that you can put your hand up if you want, or you can just open up your audio and pop in there and say something. So Morgan, I see you have your audio off. Would you like to start the conversation?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to every single speaker that you guys have up this year, because like some of the contexts I think are fantastic, especially for this, because as soon as you've got the idea of apparitions and ghosts and that activity, I love that we're really pulling in things like mental health, things like the alternative explanations and all of that kind of thing. So I think anybody that's like new to the subject matter that's coming into this, and it's gonna really, I say, neutralize a lot of skepticism, like what you had been saying before, but also the fact that it's going to give people more tools to sort of understand the environment and their role in it, which I think is so massively missing from so many aspects of like the paranormal that the public's used to.
I think that's a really good thing to say. I mean, I feel like this is a very complex area, and Brian has talked to people who have a lot of knowledge about all these aspects, and I love that we have the section on clinical parapsychology as well, because that's just a very important area that is not as developed as a lot of the other ones. So I was really excited to see that. I have to say that a lot of the people that Brian found, I had to be introduced to because I didn't know about their work. So I'm just as excited as you are to hear folks talk and get to know everybody and see what's all out there, because I think it's a really important topic.
Oh, it's huge. And as I say, like I think that's an area that gets missed, not so much with us and the academic side of it, but definitely public side of it. It doesn't get looked at because it's not the ooey gooey ghost behind the corner aspect of it, but it's more, for me, it's more interesting because for me, it's the idea that we are a part of this, it's,
Yeah.
if not sometimes the cause of it. That to me is where things get so freaking cool. Like this is
Yeah. I agree. Yes, Lizette.
Well,
Yeah.
hi, Morgan. I just want to thank the ParaMOOC team because I know that Carlos is overjoyed that his legacy is continuing. And I don't think we understand how much work goes behind the scenes to pull all these strings together and bring all this diversity together. And I'm personally thrilled to be affiliated still, and will go down trying to continue our affiliation because we have to pass the baton to people. And the fact that we're opening it up to a larger audience and gaining benefit from everybody's different thought processes, because I always used to say that the answers that we were looking for were within the Garrett Library. It's just pieces, it's the recipe that we have to put together. So this ParaMOOC is so very valuable, and you have my heart, and the people that are pulling it off do too, and the attendees. Okay.
Yeah, yay.
So bravo.
We have a great group. I pulled out, I couldn't find the list of the 2020 attendees, although quite a lot of the folks who were there in 2019 were also there in 2020. So I sent out 186 emails last night to the people that were in the 2019. And not only did we get 24 people out of that signed up for the course, but I only got one note from a very apologetic person saying, could you please take me off because I'm not interested in this anymore. It was like, oh, it's okay. But it was wonderful to do that. And it was, and then all the marketing that Natasha has been doing to get the word out in social media and all that kind of stuff, I think that's really important. And Brian has been doing an enormous amount of work as well behind the scenes, as well as in front of the scenes, because I didn't make that PowerPoint. And I have to say, now that I'm 72, I actually said to them, guys, the day is going to come that I'm not going to be doing this anymore. And now you've got all the permissions and all the responsibilities. So if you want to keep it going after I decide I'd rather be knitting, that's what we'll do, hopefully. So, because I see that we were one of the first out there in the internet to have an open online course, and it was because of a mentor of mine, Nellie Deutsch, who is a English as a second language teacher and a virtual world education teacher. If you ever take a look at Nellie Deutsch's YouTube channel, it's DEUTSCH. She must have, I don't know, thousands of videos in every type of area that you might think about. And her philosophy was always that she was making peace in the world one teacher at a time. And she had mad skills. She still does. So we just basically stole absolutely every procedure she had ever used. We even got in with WizIQ, who was her interface at that point, and thought, well, the field needs this. And now there's a lot of people out there. We're spoiled for choice in terms of the different places that are doing courses. The amount of materials that are going up quickly onto things like Parapsychological Association, all these kinds of things that are out there that you can take a look at. And every time we saw a new one pop up, we were so excited about that, because I think it's really important, and it's important for all of the voices to be heard. And that certainly was a pet, something that Carlos was really committed to. The notion, he was sort of into diversity and equity and justice and all that before a lot of other people were in the field. So we're happy to be able to keep that going. So anybody else have anything they want to say? You don't have to turn on your video if you want to make a comment, but you can if you want to.
Everybody's so quiet.
I know.
Because you answer
wait till the games begin. Wait till the games begin with the presentations. Exactly. Then we'll see about playing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, right. Exactly. Randy, turn your audio on. Your audio's off. There you go.
Hi, Nan. Hi, everybody. I
Oh,
just
it's
want to
lovely to
say
see you.
for me, what I'm going to get out of this course and why I think it's very important is that to a large degree, the harder science aspects of parapsychology, your telepathy, your general ESP, psychokinesis, those are things that, we hear about from academia, from the scientific institutions like PF, SPR, the Rhine Center. To a large part, though, discussions of spontaneous phenomena,
Yeah.
apparitions, haunting, and poltergeist, your primary sources of information out there for the public are, I'm going to be polite, they're questionable, to say the least. And
That's
to
being
have
way
this
too
forum,
kind.
and to have this forum where it's being discussed by academics, by scientists, as opposed to TV personalities, I think is very important for the field and human knowledge in general.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. And we as the PF tried to put together a national kind of workshop series with Lloyd Auerbach, and the field investigators were really not interested in any of that. And there were quite a lot of them even then. Yeah.
It was a great idea, but they just wouldn't. You can lead a horse to the water, but can't make them drink, right?
Yeah, and the opposite. We were looking for everything we were going to learn. There's so much craft knowledge out there. There's so much expertise that is not juicy enough for the TV. What I was amazed about, a lot of the people that Brian found for the course is that they have 20, 30 years worth of experience in their area, whether it was ghosts or hauntings or apparitions or something else around the side. And there's an awful lot of knowledge there that is too boring for TV, but is really important for the rest of us who really are interested in all of this and want to know what's going on. So it's and I mean, if you take a history of science course anywhere, you're going to find out that the majority of all of discoveries, and then just bringing in observations, that there was no university that had enough money to send everybody out in the field to do it. They were all from people who were enthusiasts about a particular area and understood what was happening because of their long time observation. And that's really important to have that in the mix as well. So I really agree with you, Randy. Allison, we got you on the screen.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in with what everybody else is saying, that it's just so amazing that this is coming back. I hope I don't cry because it just means a lot to me that it's just, for so many years, it was such a wonderful opportunity, and I just couldn't be happier that it's back. And it's so very needed, as many of you touched on throughout today's session, about how, international voices are really being neglected. That's why, it's really cool that you asked me to present on Catherine Crowe, because that's where the night side of nature came from. Is, she was an English speaker. She was reading German researchers and French researchers, and she was able to bring that knowledge base in to English language. If it hadn't been for her, maybe we wouldn't have the word poltergeist today. She's the one who brought it in to English language usage. Just look it up in the OED. But I really want to thank Brian too. The idea to reach out to people who are non-academics but still have something to share is just wonderful, because there is this gap, just as you guys were saying, just as Morgan was saying, between enthusiasts and researchers, real researchers in the field. And I just think, if we can connect those worlds, a lot of positive things will come out of it, from
Absolutely.
internationally connecting, the different fields. Those are huge opportunities for growth.
I couldn't agree
I
more.
think so too.
I was just gonna say, with that's what I find is exactly what Allison was saying, is that there's this international gap. And of course, I'm from Canada, so I see it a lot, where oftentimes we get this information from like a couple of sources, but yet there are other aspects, like even here in Canada. I mean, we had, the Philip experiment with the Toronto Society of Psychical
Right,
Research.
exactly.
Like my great-great-grandfather, who was a founder in the field, was president of the Canadian Association of Psychical Research here. Like, I've been doing it for 20 years, and Canada is like clueless that any of this is going on. Like, it's really strange. And I've talked about this in a number of my lectures, is that like there are some countries that don't really acknowledge, like even parapsychology as a PhD here is not acknowledged. You can't, so there's certain things that, like, in these different countries, where I think the wonderful thing about ParaMOOC is that it allows people where the countries are kind of washing over it to come and actually have these conversations, have these discussions, bring their knowledge. Because otherwise, I mean, you go to certain places and everybody's going, what the hell is this? We don't talk about that. So I mean, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I'm lucky that I work at a university that seems not to care what I do. And and I've been hiding it for a lot of years. I've worked for them for 13 years, and now we're under the, we've merged with another university. But, Carlos had a terrible time. He was always looking for a professor or an instructor or whatever. And in places like even Puerto Rico, where there's still very active spiritism, there are a lot of people who will tell you that they're Catholic until they find out that you've got experiences, or you might be a medium yourself or something. And then they'll admit to the fact that, they're Catholic, but they're also going to the Casa, for Casa de Alma for spiritist rituals and conversations and community and so on. And even in that environment, both he and his closest colleague Alfonso Martinez Taboas would get all kinds of crap whenever they started to work in this area. And their work from the very beginning was very conservative and not too wild, and connected to psychology and whatever they were interested in at the time. But he actually even had a situation where a colleague of ours took his CV to one of the universities for an open psychology instructorship, and the guy behind the table literally took one look at his CV and threw it at the colleague. It hit her in the middle of the breastbone, and she brought it back to us with a big old dent in the top of the CV. And Carlos's CV was 44 pages, not counting any of the radio show things he did or any of his videos. It was just the articles that he wrote for the academic literature and also for the popular literature, whether it was Paranormal Review as a magazine or Leslie Price's online journal and those kinds of things. He was always concerned about, he was one of the first people in our field that ever talked about Google. This is how you use this thing, because he was always finding information. He had like 10 articles on Google. So he had this monster CV that was well earned, and the guy behind he knew the dean of that school, and the guy had maybe published one article out of his PhD, and that was the end of that. So it was just annoying to see those kinds of knee-jerk reactions. And now it feels like, to some extent, depending on where you are, that people are a little bit more open to the notion that we're complex human beings. There's a lot of stuff going on that psychology and science don't want to talk about. A good example of that is Stephen Taylor's recent article in Psychology Today.
Oh, yes.
That was absolutely
good.
Wonderful. It's a blog, and it's a very kind of well-written conversational thing. And I love the little twist at the end where he was like, so maybe there's some wrong with people who don't want to look at this stuff, but in a very kind of sweet sort of way that you would, if you had been reading all the way along with a skeptical perspective, the pinch you got was not that hurtful, and maybe would get in there somewhere and open up somebody's mind. So it feels like it's getting better. But I must say, when I was young, you know, in my 30s at the Rhine when I first met Carlos and Wellington Zangori and Fatima and all these people. We all thought the world was going to be so much better by the time we got to be my age, and oh, forget about it. So it's still one of those things that's a tough road to hoe, but I always tell people that get mad at me that I'm wasting parts of my life on this particular thing, is that you know, people have these experiences. They are similar, going all the way back into antiquity. They have similar causes, similar structures. They have similar meanings for the experiencers. And who's wrong here? The people that are ignoring this and have been ignoring it for eons, or the people that are willing to kind of put a toe in and figure out what we can learn from that in terms of who we are and how we are in the natural world. So I'm also excited about this, I must say. So does anybody else have anything else to say? Any of our quiet folk? You don't have to open up your thing. We still love you. It's okay. Not a problem. Well, even though we set aside 90 minutes, but we don't have a really gut-wrenching, wonderfully fascinating conversation in the middle with some wonderful person we've never seen talk before. So it's perfectly okay if we don't say the whole 90 minutes. Can we get you to say something, Fatima? You have a beautiful face there, and I know you have lots of thoughts. You got to turn on your audio, though.
I'm appreciating your talk, and
Oh.
it started a storm here, so
I
I
know.
have the thunders and everything. So if I disappear, you know, that's because of this storm.
We know what's
But
happening.
I'm appreciating your talk, and it's lovely to see how people are excited about this subject we will talk about during this month. And as I wrote in the chat, regularities in the diversity, because we will have the opportunity to listen to people talking about cases from different parts of the world that will show how cultures can be different, but how close we are to each other in terms of experiences and how they affect our lives and beliefs and everything. So I'm excited about the program and to hear the colleagues talking during this month. And of course, because it's Carlos's birth month, and I'm very excited about it, this opportunity to honor his work, and especially because he was one of the persons who worked for having ParaMOOC. So it's a wonderful opportunity. I'm very grateful for being here and being part of it this year.
Thank you, Fatima. For those of you who don't know that he was born on the 9th of March, that's the day you should raise a glass to him, because he would have been 68 if he'd survived. I know that he really enjoyed the process of all of the things that we did online, and the best way to feel that is to go to the playlist that I set up on Parapsychology Online and look for the New Thinking Aloud with Jeffrey Mishlove, because all of those thumbnails are just hysterical. They're him looking into the camera like he can't wait to get in there and talk about whatever the topic is. And that was just how he was. He was so enthusiastic about everything that he did. And it was a joy to be around, that's for sure. So, and I kind of love the fact that this is Carlos's desk, and the one that I'm sitting at is my grandfather's desk. So I'm kind of cozied up in between two of the most important men in my family. And I think that's kind of neat. At some point, honest to God, it's going to get cleaned off, I promise. And more things are going to show up on the wall. I've got all kinds of stuff to put up on the wall, but I haven't gotten there yet. So, well, thank you guys for everything. I'm so glad you came today, and we'll be putting out a video of this really quickly, because Zoom is amazing when it does its rendering, and it needs like this much editing, so it'll be up there pretty quickly. And then I have to get back to work and make sure my students are not sliding down into a hole of grant writing and all that stuff without me. So
I'm
thank
looking
you,
forward to
everybody.
tomorrow.
And
Anybody
what
have
time,
any?
Nan,
they
what
wanna
time
say?
tomorrow? What time is Fatima on tomorrow?
Oh gosh, Fatima, do you remember?
What
Brian,
time?
you might. It's
Well,
I
it's
don't remember.
1 p.m.
It's-
Central.
What time is it?
It's 4 p.m. my
Oh,
local
in Brazil,
time.
okay,
It's 2 p.m. your local time, Nancy.
okay,
I think so. Yeah, 2 p.m.
Sorry.
Central.
okay.
So, and right here, same link, same, same station,
Link.
basically. Yeah, same link, same station. And I will be sending all that stuff out so that you've got that private page that has the whole enchilada of how to get
I
in.
might be in an interview tomorrow for my podcast, so I
Ah.
may miss a chunk of this, but it's not because I'm not coming.
Well, one of the reasons why we took that feature in the settings saying, yes, they can come in at any moment. I don't care. It could be the last 2 seconds.
Yeah,
we
so
want.
I was just sort of like,
Yeah.
just let you know, because
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got a supernatural circumstances thing to do tomorrow.
And
but-
can you do me a big old favor and send me an email with the general thing to your podcast so that I can get
Absolutely.
that into the recommendation links as well?
Yeah, oh,
And
absolutely. Thank you.
We do have Allison's YouTube channel on that link as well. And Brian, there's a little bit of stuff from Psychical Research Foundation. The best reviews of everything in the field are in Brian's work. So we'll get that link up there too. So thank you so much, you guys, and have a wonderful day. And we'll be seeing you tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe more.
Bye,
Bye
everybody.
now.
Thank you.
Bye.